everybody. Welcome to
the Jess and John pod. Howdy, partner.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is another episode of the Jess and John pod. I'm Jess.
And I'm John. These are our hats.
These are our hats.
For our listeners, we have donned cowboy hats because we're in the cowboy era.
We're just feeling it tonight. You know, There's no rules.
Mine's really
I saw a meme that said, pirates are wet cowboys.
Wow. Was not prepared for that take.
I know.
No notes.
All right. I've had a tragic last 24 hours, but we'll get into that in a second. Not as tragic as JD Vance and Trump's fucking cabinet. Okay. They were in a group chat. Of course. Signal group chat. And an Atlantic reporter, what is it, Jeffrey Goodwell or something? I forget his name now.
Jeffrey, doesn't matter. Guy from the Atlantic, big shot.
Campbell.
Goldberg, editor-in-chief.
Shit. I had it in right
Jeffrey
before
Goldberg.
We started recording. We start recording, I forget everything. All right, Jeffrey Goldberg, right? I didn't read all of it because of the paywall, but the gist of it is this. He gets added to a Signal group chat. He sees people by the name of JD Vance, Stephen Miller, Pete Hegseth discussing airstrikes on Yemen. And he sees all of this, takes some screenshots, and then he gets the fuck out of that Signal group chat, right? He's like, this is a hoax, whatever. Then bombs start dropping on Yemen. And he realizes he was actually in a group chat with Trump's cabinet. And we're not going to read you all of the good stuff that's come out of that. But courtesy of our lovely producer, Gabby, we're going to read just a couple things. JD Vance at Pete Hegseth. If you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing out Europe again. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here. And if there are things we can do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it.
Should I be Pete Hegseth?
Oh, yeah. Oh, do a Pete, yeah.
I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. But Mike is correct. We are the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do this. Nobody else even close. Question is timing. I feel like now is as good a time as any given POTUS directive to reopen shipping lanes. I think we should go, but POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. Did I sound drunk enough for that? I feel like that was too sober.
You gotta slur a little more, it's fine. I got in trouble. I was on a conservative podcast and I was like, yeah, Pete Hegseth slugging back whiskey. They were like, I think he's sober, and made me seem like some kind of an asshole for saying he was drinking.
Yeah, the guy totally doesn't drink. He's just hot, red, and sweaty and belligerent.
It's not my fault I saw fake news of him drinking whiskey at a podium.
AI.
That's Elon's fault. So yeah. That's fun. That's what's going on.
Yeah, we're just bombing Yemen, talking about it in the group chat. You know, no big deal.
Just boys being dudes.
Accidentally adding editors to war games happening on.
I have a theory
that
it was intentional.
Yeah.
Because who does that by accident?
I don't know, man.
Is there a Jeffrey Goldberg similar name?
I mean, maybe one of them was like a little rascal and just kind of oopsie daisy slipped in the editor of a major paper of record into a highly classified discussion of bombing Yemen.
I wonder if they were trying to temperature check, or someone in there was thinking, these guys can't do this. That would be horrible. So let me leak it to the press so that someone tells them to stop before it's too late.
What an absolutely unhinged way to leak it to the press. Hey, I'm just going to copy Jeffrey Goldberg in here. Just make sure the Atlantic knows what's up.
Our producer's sending me a tweet from my boss, so I'm obligated to read it. Ryan Grimm on X said, the reason that Jeffrey Goldberg's name popped up in Signal for Michael Waltz is that he was already leaking to Goldberg, an ally, for some internal Trump admin fights. Per source familiar, probe possible. Because this is not okay that they're talking in Signal, right? There's National Security Archives types or National Security regulations Remember Hillary Clinton's emails, how that was a whole thing? She was using a personal email server, but it was still documented in email. This is like an encrypted messaging platform that disappears at the time you set. So they were not complying with laws and regulations around official communications.
No. And I fully expect this to blow up into an impeachable scandal. Not. Can I still do that? Is that joke relevant?
I just wish it was something that was of more consequence than just we used the wrong communication channel. Like, they can't get impeached for bombing civilians, but they can for using the wrong group chat.
Brother,
that's a little weird.
You can bomb all the civilians you want. You just got to make sure that's on the permanent record, guys. Let's tighten up our messaging here.
Come on. Use the official server.
Microsoft Teams.
John, what have you been up to the past weekend, 24 hours?
Oh, let me tell you. I have had a pretty crazy last 48. I don't know. What day is this? Monday? Doesn't matter. Friday. I missed a pretty important flight. That's how my day started on Friday, because the flight that I was getting on was to the largest political rally that Bernie Sanders has ever held in Denver, Colorado. This was ridiculous because I got to interview Bernie Sanders. I got to interview AOC.
So you made it there.
I made it there. But before that, I was stressing, as you are, if you're about to fly out the same day to interview Bernie Sanders. So I had More Perfect Union, shout out to the homies, put me up in a hotel in the airport so I would not miss my flight. Alas, I did. I sprinted to the airport and took a wonderful video. Out of breath, my plane is just like pushing off without me on it. And I experienced full ego death in this moment. I got on, fun story, I don't fly on MAX 9s. This is my diva moment, but I stand by it.
Are those like smaller ones?
Those are the Boeing ones that a couple of them have, straight up smoked into the ground. Tragically.
That's not the 737?
No. Yeah, fun story. There's all kinds of plane drama actually around this Denver rally.
Huh?
I got word that I was going to go to it, and then as my flights were being booked, maybe you saw it on TikTok, there was a Boeing 737, the older models that smoked themselves into the ground less than the newer models, and it had flown into Denver and then caught on fire. So I was already not in a good state of mind, missed my flight, and had to get on a MAX 9. It did not smoke into the ground. I got to Denver safely. But yeah, do we want to talk about that rally? Did you all see it? It's nuts. If you haven't, you should look that up. Do we want to get into that?
Let's get into the rally. Yeah, tell us how it was.
It was pretty surreal. And I think the crazy thing about it is you could see the significance of it through talking to both Bernie and AOC. So this was, just to get the facts down, it was the largest political rally that Bernie Sanders has ever held. The largest rally in Denver besides Obama 08. And this was not even an election year. Half of the 34,000 people that showed up to this rally were not on Bernie's list. They were new people. And we talked to a lot of the folks in the audience, and it was a cross-section of everybody. There were Hillary supporters, one of whom was like, hey, I used to be, quote unquote, bullied by the Bernie bros. And I think I was telling you this, Jessica, and you made a really good point. It's like, what is that bullying? Like bullying to have healthcare? I don't know, but that's neither here nor there. The larger point is that people from everywhere were showing up, formerly Hillary voters showing up looking for a movement that can actually counter the crazy way that shit is falling apart. Exhibit A, the group chat about bombing Yemen, right? Like what kind of movement is going to get us out of that? These rallies they're holding are drawing in everybody, former Hillary voters, libertarians. We met some of those out there, even Trump supporters who were not totally comfortable with him from the beginning. Everybody found themselves coming to one of the largest political rallies, not even an election year. Major takeaways from that, it really felt like a torch was being passed from Bernie to AOC. Obviously, Bernie is not going to be running for president. He's said that a couple times. So he is in this for the reasons he's always been in this. He's been calling for a political revolution for the working class for his whole career. He's here to finish the job. And that is what was coming through in this rally. Another, right before we interviewed AOC, she was going to get called up to go speak. Massive amount of people standing out in front of her, and she's in a back room, just kind of like closing her eyes, collecting herself. It felt like we were watching two people who, everybody thinks there's an adult in the room that has everything figured out, but sometimes even those people realize that they are at the top of a wave. They are unleashing some energy that is not going to go backward. It's got to go somewhere. And I felt like through watching Bernie and AOC, they were experiencing that in real time the same way everybody else was. I think this was a shift, nerd term here, the Overton window, right? What is like politically acceptable to talk about? I think we're seeing that shift in real time to where ideas that were once fringe, Medicare for all, free public college, all this, climate action, jobs guarantees, all of this, that is becoming mainstreamed through Bernie and AOC having such large rallies, bringing in everybody who's like agreeing on one thing here. And there's been some talk on the internet. Jessica, maybe jump in here with comments you have, but I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, don't trust this. This is going to be a sellout thing. We can't trust anybody who's anywhere close to the Democrats. And while I hear that, I think what's more accurate is that, AOC and Bernie, they're becoming more mainstream, and that's going to open up their left side for completely new candidates to come in here and have what they're talking about be acceptable. I don't know. Have you seen that happening on the internet?
Yeah, I think it's happening everywhere. I think people realized that Trump maybe isn't the populist he originally sold as, but they want someone who is. And this idea that maybe populists can take over the Democratic Party in the same way that Donald Trump took over the Republican Party or the Tea Party took over the Republican Party, that can happen, but in a direction of economic populism that helps working people and isn't focused on culture wars and is instead not interested at all in what regular people are doing in their interpersonal lives and not trying to take away their rights, but instead let's build some roads and make sure our schools are good and make sure people have good jobs and corporations are not stealing workers' wages, all of that stuff. So I think this is hopefully that. And I say that as someone outside of the Democratic Party, right? Yeah. I was a Democrat operative for maybe 2 years and I've been iced out. I can't stress that enough. Everyone I know who is close to Bernie doesn't talk to me anymore because of my criticism of Bernie Sanders around Israel, Gaza. And also probably because of my criticism of the Democratic Party this past election cycle. I don't talk to any operative who is a Democrat. They don't fuck with me anymore. So I say
they don't fuck with you.
These rallies make me optimistic because I would like the Democratic Party to be that. I think that would be good for the country, even though I'm an independent and I don't plan on joining the party again.
Yeah, I mean, same for me. What I'm so excited about is that the Tea Party language is also entering the mainstream coverage of these rallies. And I think that's because it's reflective of the moment that we're in. This is the Tea Party, the Dems moment right now. And I think that's dawning as these rallies, get more and more attendees. It was 10,000 the day before Denver. You got 34,000 people in Denver. And they're the only game in town that's drawing those kind of numbers and keeping it laser focused on the priorities and the real lives of working class people. So that, to me, that says politics is always messy, right? It's not going to be perfect, but like in a world that has so little to work with, like, please give us something. And here it is. What we're seeing is more than any example you could point to in the past, working class politics being at the center of a movement and not on the fringe of a movement. And if whoever's trying to drag us back to loser neoliberals, it's time for those people to get all the way out. You might be welcome at the party, but you're not in the driver's seat anymore. That's the vibe that's coming through at these rallies. And I think it's also, you talked about the fake populism kind of falling apart with the actions of Doge and all the stuff that the Trump administration is up to. And I think this is a moment where people really start realizing what radical even means right now, because Donald Trump is the definition of radical. I mean, every single elected Republican is wild-eyed, irresponsible, radical. Right. And if we can have a movement where Bernie Sanders and AOC are the reasonable ones, talking about how to get you paid for the work that you do, talking about healthcare that doesn't drive you bankrupt, talking about all these things that just make sense. If that can redefine the center and then open up the left, yes, please. Tea Party of the Dems, keep this going on. I hope it's the beginning of a political revolution that started with Donald Trump, taking over the GOP. It is long past time for working class politics to be in the driver's seat of the only other opposition party. And I think that's happening right now from coming through at those rallies. You also see in our interview, I asked, so where does this energy all go? How do we direct it? Because I could see one thing happening that would not be as good as some of the others, which would be if this is a coronation of AOC and a couple other rising star prominent figures, that's one thing. But if AOC and Bernie are using the energy at these rallies, they're using their platforms to turn this into a traveling roadshow, Tea Party style, that is putting out the call to a brand new generation of working class candidates who are going to absolutely brawl and give America the real populism that it evidently wants, right? But actually deliver on that. That would be much different than just a coronation or a passing of the torch to one or a handful of rising stars. And it did feel like there's potential for that. You see Bernie Sanders in the New York Times talking about you can run as an independent. You don't have to be loyal to the party that's not loyal to you, right? You can run however it makes sense. So I think they both realize that this toothpaste is not going back in the tube, that they are in a position to direct this energy. I think they're testing the bounds and norms around what that is. And to me, at least, watching this all unfold, it feels like a moment that has real potential, especially when compared to any of the other alternatives.
Yeah, this is the response to Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, going on TV and saying that no one's mom's going to care if their Social Security payment doesn't come, something to that effect. And the ones that do care are the ones that are gaming the system in some way, is what, basically, I'm paraphrasing what he said. My parents, we had a conversation a couple weeks ago about what the administration maybe would do with Social Security. I said, if the checks don't come, you have to tell me so I can Venmo you. That's how much they depend on Social Security, is that my mom was so paranoid about it that she was texting me saying, what do you think's going to happen with this? And I said, I got you. Like, don't worry, I can swing it. Come on, Howard Lutnick. Do you really want an America where the boomers' children are financing their lifestyle while simultaneously are economically worse off than them and trying to survive in a housing market that's more expensive, where jobs pay less and money doesn't go as far? Workers are not making as much, nor do they have pensions for their own retirement. It's just insane. The only response to that is that the people who built this country deserve the share that they worked for. And it seems like Bernie, AOC, Ro Khanna, Nathan Sage, Dan Osborne, these are the people with that message. Also, Kat Aboud announced in Illinois she's running for Congress. That's another progressive that really cares about these issues. So it feels like the only option for survival with the Democratic Party is this. And it's really the only option for the survival of America and the working class.
Yeah, that's the truth. So, I do want to see it turn into that. I mean, if this turns into just kind of passing the torch to already established figures, I don't think that's good. But this, my takeaway from it is that there's real potential for this to turn into that Tea Party movement, recruit those candidates. Like you mentioned, a couple are already coming out of the woodworks. There's some candidates that ran last cycle, like Dan Osborne, who was the independent in Nebraska that outperformed every single Democratic senator who ran in red states. There's models to do this. There's new people waiting in the wings, but they need the air cover and the support and the resources of a Bernie and an AOC to really kickstart that. And it feels like we are closer than ever. And however that happens, it's got to, because there might not be other times to do this. And I think it's also important too to not get confused about the real thing here. I'm thinking about the Tim Walz rallies, right? And the headlines that those are generating compared to the Bernie and the AOC rallies, because Tim Walz is out there talking about, can he beat up a Trump supporter in a bar fight or something? These Bernie rallies are about you, your job, your healthcare, our climate, right? It's simple. It's laser focused. We should have had it the first time around. It feels like it's possible to really take off right now. And we shouldn't settle for less than that. We shouldn't settle for less than that in this moment. And I got one more thing to close out that rally, which is about signal group chats, what we started the top of the show with. These things can gather steam pretty quickly. These rallies are blowing up. But this isn't something to just sit passively by and watch it float by on your algorithm or screen or whatever. We have, I'm in Wheeling. I'm always loving up on Wheeling. But one of the things we have going is a Signal group chat. We're not talking about bombing Yemen in that Signal group chat. We are talking about organizing this community so that we really rely on each other. I mean, it started as, and this is something that anybody can do to be ready when the political movement, the mass movement catches up, right? When that starts happening, it looks like it is now. We want to be organized in our communities. And this is just a story about how easy it is to do on your own. We have a 200-person Signal group chat here in a really small rural town with not a lot going on. And that started as 3-4 people who were getting together, eating pizza, having a poker night, all like-minded, all progressive. And then we just started adding people to that chat, and it's now up to 200 people. There's side chats. We got a protest group that's super active, a bird watching chat, a babysitter's chat. It seems ridiculous, but I can tell you, if you just start that small action of organizing your community where you are and getting the like minds all together, making it about fun first, that can start to snowball and really get you organized and ready for a moment when this political mass movement catches up. And it feels like all of that stuff is swirling together.
Yeah, I think that having community, especially political community right now, is important, but having a community in general is what you've done in Wheeling. And I don't want to sound woo-woo. Don't take this as an LA woo-woo thing. My dad read a bunch of Buddhism when he got sober. And so I took an interest in it because I was like, well, if it's that powerful that you can quit drinking after drinking heavily since age 14, I'm going to read this stuff. And he was reading Thich Nhat Hanh, and he talks about your Sangha, which is your community, and having people that you regularly see and care about you, and you depend on each other in your immediate life, that is spiritually essential, which is very connected to the most recent episode of White Lotus. This isn't a big spoiler, but the monk that Piper, no, the monk that Buddhism Piper is trying to live with, he's like, there's spiritual death in America. Like, there's not a community. There's not a feeling of being connected to nature or spirit in a meaningful way. And that's why he sees so many Americans going to Thailand and taking an interest in Buddhism. And so anyway, that's all to say, I think it's essential on a spiritual level, not just that, oh, we depend on each other for these things to achieve an ends of making sure our children are looked after or whatever it is. It's actually necessary for our soul and our spirit. And
making sure those birds don't go unwatched. You know, you got to look at some birds sometimes when the shit's really coming down. You got to check out a bird in intimate detail.
Onto something.
Yes.
Have you seen her posts?
No, I haven't. I used to really be, in those posts, but what's up?
On a regular basis, Marianne Williamson, who we know and love, will just, on my timeline, and I haven't seen it in a while. I don't think she's using Elon Musk's X website, but on Twitter, you would see a beautiful, colorful bird. And she would just be like, I cannot believe that nature creates such a beautiful specimen, whatever. This is real. Can you believe it? And people are just commenting back like, I can't believe it. I can't believe this is a real animal out in the world.
You know what? So, hell yeah, though. I mean, seriously, at a certain point, you just reach an age where whether you buy them or somebody else buys them for you, binoculars show up in your life and you aim those bad boys at a bird and your mind is reset. And you're like, and then you go on Twitter and that's probably what she did. Somebody gave her binos, I think everybody should do it.
Bald eagles are back in a big way here in Iowa. I've seen like 20 this year. And there was a problem that some kind of chemicals in the fields used here was causing their eggs to be too thin and then they would not survive. And so I'm seeing a lot. And I think the comeback plan is working because they're everywhere. That's a beautiful bird.
It's a beautiful bird. I feel like a bald eagle, but it's, male pattern baldness is what is the nature of my eagledom these days.
It's majestic. It's intentional and majestic. My boyfriend, I've been putting the minoxidil or whatever it's called on him.
Trade secret.
It works. I don't think he has aging baldness. His father, full head of hair. His mom, full head of hair. But I think he had stress hair loss because now he stopped using the Rogaine type product and it's staying. So we'll see. I'm his barber. I'm very proud of his head of hair.
I'm blessed with like Tom Petty hair. It's kind of like a dandelion. A stiff gust of wind is just going to take the whole top off there. So maybe I can adopt this regimen.
I'll fly you to Turkey.
There it is.
People are doing that. So, okay. I want to briefly mention what I've been working on, and then I'll tell you how tragic my past 24 hours have been.
Jessica, what have you been working on?
I interviewed Rachel Cohen. I was scrolling on the talk. Rachel Cohen, a lawyer, Harvard trained, 3-year associate at SCAD, which is a huge corporate law firm. She has been posting about the Trump administration having their claws in some of the big corporate law firms. Paul Weiss is the big one people think about because one of their attorneys was a prosecutor on the Trump financial crimes case. So not a popular guy in the administration. The administration targeted the firm with an executive order, basically removing some of their attorney's security clearances, which is not so good. If you're a very powerful hedge fund, one of their major corporate clients, you want a law firm that has government access. That's like a big thing that you pay for, which is a whole sick thing in itself, but it was at play here. And they went and negotiated with Trump. They agreed to give $40 million worth of legal services and agree that this guy had committed acts of misconduct as an attorney. And so they capitulated entirely to the administration. And Rachel believed that her law firm was on a similar path to bending to the will of the administration to not lose access to the government. And so she wrote a letter to the entire firm saying, this is my concern. And if you won't say the steps you're taking to not abide by what the administration is asking of us, then I'm out. And immediately, within 30 minutes, she's taken off of all communications, loses all access. So she assumes her 2 weeks notice has turned into either her resignation or being fired, whatever. She posts publicly the letter and makes a TikTok about it, which is super risky. And I reached out. I was like, I need to talk to you. So that interview is on YouTube. It's very interesting. Just the inside perspective on all of that. And she's pretty brave. And we talked about how, no, are there clients saints? Do we expect them to be on the side of billionaires and Trump? Maybe. But is it horrible and worse? That's the executive branch now can dictate what clients private law firms take. Yeah, that's the kind of merging together of the corporation and the state that equates fascism. So it's not so good. So it was really interesting.
That is wild. Where can people find that work? And also just so important for independent journalists like you to keep doing that. So yeah, where do people watch? Okay,
it's youtube.com/@KA Burbank.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to tell you my tragic story. So,
tragedy
we get
of the
bored
last
here
24
in Waverly.
Hours.
What?
Last 24 hours tragedy.
Yeah, the past 24 hours, and a little bit more than that at this point, past 36 hours. Okay, so I was a little stir crazy here in our small town. So was my partner. We decide we're going to go to the big city, Iowa City, home of the Hawkeyes, Caitlin Clark territory. We see John Green do his talk on his new book on tuberculosis. John was originally my friend and colleague, and this always happens, but had whiskey with my partner. They're way closer now. They love each other. He was invited to live with John Green and fix up one of the houses on his property. This happens with all my friends. It's not fair. Anyway, so we're having a great time. The vibes are good. And then we're thrifting. I look down and I notice my ring is missing its aquamarine.
Oh no.
This is not like oh, my diamond earring, Kim, there are people dying. This ring was gifted to me from my parents. It was my grandmother's, and then she died and gave it to them. And before that, it was like my dad, great aunt's Jessica's ring. So it's been in the family for like a long ass time. So I am horrified when I look down and I'm like, the stone is gone. And we're searching on the floor. By the way, it was given to me when I graduated college. And my parents had to pay like a sum of money because Pell Grants ran out. And there was like some tuition fees that they had to front the cash for. And they weren't going to give me my diploma, apparently, unless we fronted the money. So, with only $200 in their bank account, my parents drove to upstate New York to attend my graduation and gave me this ring because they couldn't afford an actual graduation gift. So, losing this ring, I just had this immense guilt. I'm like sobbing, and we're looking for it everywhere. And it was I found it today. So, I spent literally last night devastated. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, I can't believe I've done this. This is horrific. And then today, it's like noon. My partner's like, we're going to vacuum out the whole Bronco. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to check under the seat one last time. And it was there.
Oh
and
my
so I
God.
have it.
There it is. That's the rock.
And I was like, this is the only thing that I can't replace out of all the stuff I have. This and like my favorite stuffed animal.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I have a possession in my life. Maybe right into the show. Are these possessions common? Should I get one?
Does anyone have yours? A most precious stone?
Precious gems are a part of my life that hasn't really materialized yet. Do you know what my graduation gift was supposed to materialize? From the fun uncle. Do you have a fun uncle?
I have many. It depends what kind of fun you're into, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a real choose your own fun kind of situation. Yeah, we got a couple fun uncles out there, but mine was like, listen, if you graduate, I got a gift for you. It's a 91 Volvo station wagon, white in color, brown leather interior, piece of crap. but it's all yours. All you got to do is graduate college. And I graduated college, and I was like, where's that Volvo at? And he was like, I sold it, brother. I'm so sorry. And I've never really, that's a tragedy that extends for me much longer than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Uncle Mike, if you're listening, I need a Volvo right now.
You're like, why did I go to college in this economy then, Uncle?
What the hell? Right? He also lent me some like sandals that I think he took back.
My fun uncle is a Trump supporter, and he had an Alexa device, a listening device, and it kept recommending ads of things he talked about Yellowstone with his friends, and then it was recommending Yellowstone, one of the most popular fucking TV shows, and he's like, they're listening to us. So his solution was not to unplug the Alexa, but was to put a projector screen over where his flat screen TV is attached to the wall. And instead now he projects onto that screen, and that's his big solution.
You see, I love that. I really love that. It's a mixing of, it's just, whatever that principle is, the Moore's law, the computers get twice as smart and half as expensive. And we're all just trying to catch up in that world. And it leads to a lot of really Rube Goldberg solutions like that, and I'm just like, fly, America. We're going into the brave unknown. They got to, you see the Boston Dynamics robots, though? That shit's got to stop.
Yeah, I don't like the way they move.
No,
iRobot was one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, once again, it's like, you can do something, but should you? I think Boston Dynamics is where I draw the line.
Yeah. Yep. Everyone who is an engineer or science major needs to take an ethics class, probably multiple. Very fundamental, that they just sit for a while and think about it.
Yeah, I mean, we could make them silly also, but like, why aren't we doing that? I don't know. These things don't have to be like agile and warrior status. They could just be like kind of dumpy and hilarious.
Just good physical comedians is what we need to create.
Real slapstick kind of robots just tripping and bumping into shit all the time. I'd feel much better.
Yeah. I would much prefer, I don't want robots to be doing comedy, though. That's tragic. Although the stand-up specials on Netflix lately, maybe a robot could do a better job.
Yeah. Plug it in, get out there with a bottle of water, talk about all the things that get you canceled.
Yeah. We should have our family on the pod. Like, it doesn't have to be your funkle. It could be a cousin. I think, my cousin, John, has stories.
Oh man, maybe we should get the family reunion.
She started doing hard drugs at 14.
Oh hell yeah.
She's been doing heroin for like the last decade. Oof. She got sober. She went to rehab. She runs a sober house of mostly drug addicts from the American South in like California, right? Like Manhattan Beach area, like south of LA.
Hell yeah.
And I think we could maybe get her to tell some stories into a microphone.
You do that. I got like 9 first cousins in a town of 2,500 people where I grew up, and there's a big family split, but the cousins are all starting to talk now. But like in that split, much different. Lots of difference happened there. So you convene yours. I'll get my crazy Wellsville cousins on here.
Yeah, I'll bring Jen and Molly. They're sisters, and we can talk about our family split as well. Their dad and my mom stopped talking.
There's going to be a great reconvening. Just as we are in a political realignment, perhaps the materialization of the mass movement that'll save us all. It's a time of odd bedfellows, reconciling family divides, seizing our power. That's what we talk about on the pod. What other business do we have to cover today?
I don't know, John.
Can I offer a weird story?
Oh, produce Voice of God.
Voice of God is here.
Gabby is here. What do you have?
So, I'm in real time introducing a segment called Let's Get Weird, where I show you weird news and you react to it. Cool. So, this has been all over my TikTok feed. I'm wondering if anyone else has seen this. And it's about this discovery of these scientists made in Egypt. Has anyone seen it?
Promising start.
Oh wait,
Okay.
that they scanned the underneath, and it goes on for a long time.
Yeah. So let me show you this thing.
Wait, before you show me, can I
Okay.
say? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I thought you were going to get into, do you remember when they, like some scientist 3D printed like the layer ranks of like an ancient king?
Oh. Oh, and then like had the voice. Like,
yeah, they forced
Yes.
air into this
It was
3D
so
printed
weird.
voice box, and it was just like, ah!
Yeah.
Okay,
We should find that
what
too.
is this?
Actually, John, that was really accurate.
That was really accurate. That's what it sounded
Thanks. I'm a voice actor.
Y'all, this is not a drill. Everybody sit down.
Oh,
The
can you hear
scientists
that? Can you hear it?
I'm
Oh,
stat. Yep.
Okay, sick. Let's go.
have discovered something massive beneath the pyramid of Khafre. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of blowing my mind, and I really hope this gets peer-reviewed soon, and you're gonna see why in a minute. So the authors of the study, Corrado Malanga and Filippo Biondi, developed this cutting-edge technology called synthetic aperture radar, or SAR for short. It basically uses sound waves and vibrations to create a super high-res image of things we cannot see with our naked eye, like what lies beneath the Egyptian pyramids. They already conclude their findings on the Giza pyramid back in 2022, which is this study right here. But then on March 15th, so just last week, they did a press release on the Khafre pyramid. And the findings from that are rocking the archaeology world. Okay, so what you're looking at is a bunch of SAR images taken from different angles. This would be the base of the pyramid, and beneath it are these 5 identical horizontal lines. Each one of these horizontal structures are connected via geometric pathway, and inside each one of these structures are 5 different levels with sloping roofs. And the structure keeps going. I mean, take a look at this. This next part is not such a butso. Below the 5 columns are these
What?
8 cylindrical structures that seem to be vertical wells because they're hollow on the inside. And each one is surrounded by this descending spiral pathway of some sort. I don't know if it's a staircase or a coil. We need to have more information on that, for sure. And then these 8 cylinders are atop these 2 massive cubes that are 80 meters by 80 meters.
Brother.
This entire structure sits 648 meters deep. For my American friends, that's more than 2,000.
I love how she said it
feet
for my
deep.
American
For context,
I'm so
that's
glad.
bigger than the pyramids themselves.
How many
what the heck
buses
are these
is it?
structures that are so massive, bigger than the pyramids themselves, but they keep them underneath where no one can see them? But that's
So
Bro.
yeah. So this is these are real scientists who had a paper earlier, like last year or something, and that was like legit. And this new paper that's coming out is yet to be peer reviewed, but they did a press release, and everyone's freaking out about the press release.
So there's a
Wait.
bunch of shit under these giant triangles.
Apparently.
You're telling me we've been using ultrasound to look at babies when we could have been looking at the pyramids?
Nobody thought
We
to
could've
rub
been-
that thing on a pyramid, see what's under it?
We could have been finding dinosaur bones. I want to talk to the people with this machine and be like, let's just do a show where
What
you
other
and me, we go around, we run that thing, we show up, we're like, hey, can I use my sound machine in your backyard? We're looking for dinosaurs. And then
Yeah,
they
you got to
just
take
let
that
us
to the
fuck off.
Masonic temple.
Yeah.
There's some shit under there, I know.
Oh dang.
Columns, staircases. Dude, I can't even get a plumber.
Oh, that's the music you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
It's great.
Yo.
Love TikTok. So yeah, I just want to share that with you.
That was super weird. I also like, what did we not? This is going to be me achieving my full podcast bro persona. But we haven't gone in there and walked around. Is there like a secret door or something? We just didn't know what was up.
I think you could enter the like actual pyramids. Oh man, I feel like people are gonna yell at me. But
Oh, yeah.
but like yeah, I guess this new special radar has found these weird things that are underneath, and it's like gigantic. It's massive, and people just cannot explain it. But I'm pretty sure people have gone inside the actual like top, like the pyramid part above ground. Nothing
But no
underground.
one's been in the tubes.
No one has been in those tubes.
Give us
I'll
the
go in
Nicolas
there.
Cage movie.
Oh my god!
Would
Nicolas-
you do it if they were like, "Can you go in there?"
No. Never. I have self-preservation instinct. I don't want to get stuck at the bottom of a pyramid with spirits.
What if you could bring a gun to kill yourself if you get stuck?
Totally.
Oh
Totally.
shit!
Shoot my way out of a pyramid. Great. Normal Tuesday night.
Hell yeah. Okay, wait. It looks like a rocket ship with the tip is the pyramid.
Right.
And it's aliens, I think.
I just look at this and I'm like,
It's gotta be.
how did we get such a plastic crap society when like so long ago they were building awesome stuff, and now we're just like, hey, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and we are standing on those shoulders to produce a chia pet of Barack Obama for $9.99. Sourced with global materials.
Are the inferior version of
Based on
ourselves.
incredible pain.
They used to make stuff out of rocks. Someone on TikTok, I never thought about this. It was a construction video. They said, how come in the United States, everything's made out of wood and paper? And people were all joking about how you could just make everything fall apart really easily in the United States.
Excuse me, were these non-Americans besmirching our construction techniques?
Think about Gaza. That was made out of stone. A lot of those buildings.
Mm-hmm.
They could, if they wanted to, America could be leveled really quick.
Duh, we would be toast. The new construction, please.
The Freemasons were onto something, and maybe they also are aliens who built that pyramid. What's going on with the Freemasons?
There's probably a ton of stuff under those buildings, man.
John, you should join the Freemasons.
Do you want to? Don't tempt me.
And then tell us what happens.
Yeah. Hi, guys. What I've been working on the last couple weeks was joining a secret society and exploring their underground tunnel network.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to know a fun fact about West Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay, if you said no, I was really going to be up shit creek there. But the Greenbrier Hotel, do you know this?
No.
Okay. The Greenbrier, excuse me, I had to clear my voice just to get clear on this. The Greenbrier Hotel in southern West Virginia was built as the nuclear fallout shelter for the entire United States Congress and the president. And under it, it was operating as such from like the 50s through the 90s. I don't know, kind of appropriately, West Virginia's newest senator, Jim Justice, a billionaire and a real rat bastard, bought the Greenbrier and then went bankrupt and lost the Greenbrier. But that's all beside the point. There is a nuclear fallout shelter for the president and Congress under a hotel in southern West Virginia. No longer working, but there is some conspiracy theory about where it might have gone to.
They can move it?
Well, there was a Boy Scout camp built in the middle of nowhere in West Virginia, and it is of epic proportion. This is a national scout camp, very large, right? But it doesn't take a ton of concrete to like build a Boy Scout camp, no matter how many Boy Scouts that you're talking there. But the word is around the state when they were building this Boy Scout camp, that it was like every concrete truck in the state, concrete shortage, it's all pouring into the Boy Scout camp.
Why do they get a fallout shelter? All right, what happened to going down with the ship if you're the captain? The government should not be the first people we protect because most likely if we're getting hit by a nuke, they're the ones that caused it with their Signal fucking group chat or something.
And we're back to the Signal group chat.
No, put the Boy Scouts in there before you put our Congress, this U.S. Congress. You're going to save them in fallout? No,
Listen,
save the electricians and the farmers.
We've got to protect the worst, most stupid people on Earth in the event of a nuclear war of their own causing. That's why we can have nice things.
Sense. Save the guy who developed the sonar machine, too. Put him in there.
He belongs in there.
List of people who should get saved first in nuclear fallout is a fun eugenics experiment that we don't need to get into, but it certainly wouldn't be the eugenics I'm saving, is all I'm going to say.
JJ Nation, get out your bingo card for that fun experiment and let us know what you think. Who deserves to be saved in a nuclear apocalypse? Hey, I realized I forgot to mention this. If you want to see that...
Oh, yeah. Where can they find the interview?
Hard transition. We interviewed Bernie and AOC. That is going to be dropping. Check out More Perfect Union for that. And we might put out some short clips before the full video, but we're going to have a full video about all the fun that we had out in Denver. So check out More Perfect Union and anywhere that I am, because I might post about that.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
What are you about to do after this?
About to go eat a pizza.
I'm going to go eat. I've been buying these wafers. I'm into wafers right now. It's my thing. Like wafer cookies.
Church basement wafer, the like Neapolitan vanilla
the body
strawberry.
Of Christ.
Oh, that's the wafer.
I don't know. It's like hazelnut.
Christ was hazelnut flavored.
It's like a naked Kit Kat.
Yeah. Am I talking about the right ones? It's like a little wafery guy, some sugary filling.
Yeah.
Waffle pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Kit Kat shaped.
That's what I'm into.
That's the sauce. Yeah.
It's my hyperfixation food.
Very Iowan.
Crunch it in my teeth.
Very church basement related. Dunk it in milk and it turns into slurry.
Oh. Okay, so the new cute thing is my boyfriend's nephew calls every kind of food pizza because he realized it makes people laugh. We're making waffles. I'm like, I open the waffle maker and he sees what comes out for the first time and he just goes, pizza.
Pizza.
I was like,
this kid's going places.
Yep.
I actually lied. I'm not eating a pizza, but it is objectively a funny thing to be eating. So me and that kid are on the same wavelength.
All right, keep your secrets, John.
JJ Nash, go eat a pizza.